And yes, it's that time again for the Southern California housing market update, where you get the Southern California single family and multifamily sales numbers before anywhere else. Is it possible that the numbers in Southern California are showing a seller's market still, even with all the bad news out there? You'll just have to wait and see. Hey there. Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We have been helping buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions in Southern California and beyond. And we're here with our every 2-week market update. In this crazy market, you know things can change quickly and they can go up or down quickly. You need to see where things are headed in Southern California right now. So if you're ready to dive into the single family and multifamily numbers for Los Angeles, Orange County, Ventura, Riverside, San Diego, and San Bernardino counties, hit that like button. And let's get started. All right, let's dive into the data. So we're going to start with Orange County, and what we have here, we have the number of properties that have sold, number of properties under contract, and the number of new listings for the month of August going back. And we got 5 Augusts here. So we're looking at month over month data. Why are we looking at month over month data? So we can see trends. Now, granted, 2020 and 2021 are a little bit weird at this point in time because of COVID, and maybe a lot of bit weird because of COVID. 2018, 2019, more normal years. When you look at the span, you can see what trends there are. So it's really easy to see immediately that we are at pending lows, we're at sold lows, and we're at new listing lows. So those things are all at record lows in this August 2022, looking back all the way to 2018. But here's what is interesting about that. When you look at the ratio between the number of properties going under contract and the number of new listings, you can see the gap is very tight. And I've talked about this in other videos. You can see that same thing in 2021, a gap that's very narrow between the red line and the white line. We can see it in 2020, which was also a crazy market. 2018, 2019, more normal markets. Look at the size of the gap between the number of properties under contract and the number of new listings in 2018. That was a normal market, and that is a big gap. But let's fast forward to 2022. While we have record lows, supply and demand are very tight. So I'm sure you remember what 2021 was like at this time of year. It was a crazy, crazy seller's market. 2020 was a crazy seller's market. You tell me, what do you see in 2022? Put your answer in the comments below. I want to see what you think 2022 is. And I'm going to say it is also a crazy seller's market. Now, I know we're hearing all this bad news out there. So at the same time that buyers are hearing this bad news, sellers are as well, and they're choosing not to sell. In addition to the bad news sellers are hearing out there that the buyers are, and they're deciding not to sell, there also may be some folks who are rate locked. So these are people who purchased or refied at lower rates than we have right now. So maybe they're locked in at 2.5%, 3%, and to go out and buy something new, it's going to be 5 or 6%. So that's a big increase. So they just say, I'm going to stay put. They're not going to sell. So those factors are working together. When you have new listings and demand so close together, this is a seller's market. Prices are not going to drop necessarily in Orange County because there's enough demand. One more important point, and we're going to see this in the other counties we're about to go through. When you see that there's this small ratio between the number of new listings and the properties going under contract, what this means is that we're not going to get a buildup in inventory levels because a lot of the new listings are being snatched up. If we saw a much wider gap, and we continue to see that wider gap over time, that's when we start to get saturated with inventory. And don't forget, this Friday, we're going to go through the Altos Research reports to show you the levels of inventory and to show you exactly where they're headed. Moving on to Los Angeles, single family homes, August of 5 years, and we could see the same thing we saw in Orange County. Maybe not quite as tight. We can see that new listings, there is a gap between new listings and pending sales, but it's as big a gap as 2020, very similar to 2021, which is a seller's market. 2018, again, much bigger gap. So this is still in LA a seller's market. People are still buying properties out there, even though the numbers are going down. The new listings are going down, so that those ratios together are staying tight enough where prices aren't necessarily going to drop. Now, Riverside, we see a slight different trend. Definitely not like Orange County, where you've got the tight levels between new listings and properties going under contract. It's a bigger gap. It's closer to 2019, closer to a more normal market. Not as much of a seller's market, but still a strong market in Riverside. San Bernardino, as some of the folks from San Bernardino call it. You can see that it's not as hot as 2020, but it's pretty close to 2021 between the new listings and pending sales. Ventura, our buddies Ventura, always marching to their own drummer. Smallest number of properties in Ventura County as compared to the other counties we cover. So their data, it's much more easily skewed because they have a smaller number of transactions. 2020, let me point out, you can see the fact that the number of properties under contract is higher than new listings. That was a twist. We had that happening regularly in 2020 and into 2021, where more properties were going under contract than new listings. So inventory was continuing to decrease. We're now at a point where inventory can increase, but tune in Friday to see where it's headed. So you can see that we have record lows for pending sales, but we also have crazy record lows for new listings. So the gap has widened a bit, but you can see 2018, a normal market, had a much wider gap. So still a seller's market in Ventura. And last but not least, Orange County's sister from a different mister, San Diego, their data often tends to track in a similar way, and we can see that it is. Now, it's not as tight between the new listings and pending sales as it was in Orange County, but it's still very tight, tighter than it was in 2020, which was a seller's market. This is a seller's market, whether people want to believe it or not, but when supply and demand stay this close in ratio, that is a seller's market. Don't forget that we are real estate agents based in Southern California, can help you buy or sell in the SoCal area, whether it's a house, condo, multifamily, mixed use. We are experts in your area, so reach out below. We have a contact us form that you can fill out. If you're outside the area, we can help as well. Now let's dive into the multifamily numbers quickly. These are properties that are 2 units or larger in their respective counties, and not as exciting as the single family data. Early on in COVID, it was a little tougher for multifamily, but things leveled off. You can see that the number of new listings is actually at a slight low other than last year, but the pending sales are at a solid level, stronger than some years in past, like 2018. So this is pretty uneventful market in OC multifamily, stronger than 2018 and very similar to 2019, 2020. Los Angeles still under eviction moratorium, both LA City and LA County. There's a short time where LA County, the moratorium was over for 3 months, but it's back on. That may have an effect on the number of properties that are listed. This would also have an effect on the number of investment properties listed that are single family and condos, because they fall under the eviction moratorium as well. But multifamily may be a little more evident, and we do see that the number of new listings are down, but still at pretty solid levels for pending sales. So it's actually a little bit more of a seller's market in Los Angeles multifamily than it has been in a while when you look at those ratios. Riverside, a solid market for investors, tends to be more affordable for renters, tends to trade at a slightly higher cap rate. New listings are down, and so are pending sales. And Riverside remains a solid market for multifamily. Even though the listings are down, we have pending sales down, so the ratio is staying relatively tight. Looks similar to 2019. San Bernardino, as some people say, look at that drop in the level of inventory from 2018 to 2022. About half of the number of new listings. At the same time, pending sales have gone down, but not to crazy low levels. It's not too far off of 2019. So it's actually a tighter seller's market when you look at that ratio between new listings and pending sales than it has been in any of these past 5 years. Ventura, always all over the place, but not a bad spot to be investing your funds, especially if you can get here near the pier. Doesn't hurt. And you can see that new listings are actually down as compared to all these years past. Pending sales are down as well. And finally, San Diego, big drop in the number of new listings, like we've seen in a couple other spots. Pending sales are down slightly, not at record lows. You can see 2018, 2019, fewer properties went under contract, But the big change in the level of new listings, this means in August of 2022, we have an extreme seller's market for multifamily in San Diego. And don't forget that the next market update this Friday will include the Altos Research reports, where we run through a lot of different numbers, including the amount of inventory out there. And we're going to dive into the median home price numbers to see what direction those are going. Let us know in the comments below what questions you have about the Southern California real estate market and beyond. What are you seeing out there? We want to hear from you. And you're missing out if you're not subscribed to our free weekly email newsletter. You're going to get the charts from this video. You're going to join almost 2,500 others in getting market updates, landlord tenant updates, and a whole lot more. We have a link above and a link below so you can subscribe to the newsletter. Check out this next video for more updates about the Southern California housing market. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.